What if I told you your phone isn't just stealing your time? It's stealing who you could have become. And the most painful part, you already feel it. At night, when the videos stop, when your screen goes black, and your thoughts come back louder than ever, you say you want to learn English. You say you want to change your life. But somehow, your phone always wins. 5 minutes turns into 50. One video turns into a vortex. And deep down, you're not just disappointed, you're exhausted. Not from working too hard, but from running in circles. What if the reason English feels so difficult isn't because of your memory or your intelligence, but because your mind is never quiet long enough to remember who you are? This isn't just a video about phones. This is about the quiet war between who you are and who you were meant to become. And if you're brave enough to watch this to the end, you'll learn how to take your mind back, how to rebuild your focus, how to fall in love with English again, not as a school subject, but as a sacred practice that brings your real self back to life. Not tomorrow, not next year, now. There was a moment, quiet, almost invisible, when I realized something had shifted. I wasn't holding my phone anymore. It was holding me. I was scrolling again, not because I cared, but because silence had become scarier than noise. And somewhere inside, I knew this wasn't rest. This was avoidance, dressed up as comfort. It wasn't even that I didn't want to study English. I did. I kept telling myself, just 5 more minutes. But 5 became 50, and suddenly the day had disappeared into meaningless clicks. And the saddest part? I wasn't tired from working. I was tired from running from a version of myself that demanded effort, discipline, transformation. There's a strange kind of horror in that moment when you sit without your phone for 2 minutes. Try it. Just 2 minutes. No music. No messages, no screen. You'll notice it, the itch, the restlessness, the sudden urge to reach for it again. That's not boredom. That's withdrawal. That's your brain begging for the hit it's been trained to crave. And that hit? It's not peace. It's dopamine, microdoses of reward that feel like rest, but steal your strength to focus. You think you're just relaxing, but really, your attention span is melting. Want to rewire your brain? Replace one scroll with one English sentence, just one. Say it out loud, feel the discomfort, stay with it. Your phone simulates relaxation, but it never restores you. That's the trap. We confuse stimulation with restoration, and then we wonder why we can't concentrate when it's time to study, or speak English, or build our future. Next time you get distracted, ask yourself in English, did this help me? Say it out loud. It's a powerful mirror, because the truth is, you're not avoiding English. You're avoiding the confrontation it brings. Learning a new language is like looking in the mirror. You see your potential, but also your fears. That's why we quit. Not because it's too hard, but because it reminds us we were meant for more. And more feels heavy when you've been living light. So ask yourself, what am I running from? Write it in English. Start with this sentence. I'm afraid to change because... Let your truth speak. Don't worry about grammar. Let it be messy. Let it be honest. This is how transformation begins, not with a textbook, but with a sentence that hurts a little to write. And when you start noticing your phone for what it really is, a brilliant, addictive escape, you can start reclaiming your power. Don't throw it away. Redesign your relationship with it. 2 minutes of silence, one spoken sentence, one conscious pause. That's all it takes to plant the first seed, and soon you'll start to see something else. If you want to stay average, let your phone choose what you consume. Open Instagram before opening your mind. Wake up and scroll through other people's lives while your own waits in silence. If that's the life you want, it's easy. Just keep watching without choosing, or start curating. Pick 3 English-only sources today. Yes, today. Let the language of growth replace the noise of distraction. If you want to delay your dreams, keep giving your best focus to apps designed to steal it. Every swipe, every like, every ping, it's not free. You're paying with your future. Want to test it? Take your most distracting app and hide it. Bury it in a folder 3 screens deep. You'll feel the difference instantly. Less friction equals less failure. More friction means more focus. If you want to destroy your attention span, allow micro-notifications to hijack your day. One message, one buzz, one red dot. That's all it takes to break a 20-minute concentration block. Want to study English deeply? Put your phone on airplane mode for just 20 minutes. No excuses. Start small. Let your brain breathe long enough to remember what deep focus feels like. If you want to blame lack of motivation, keep pretending that distraction is an accident. It's not. It's engineered. Your brain didn't choose this. It was trained into it. But now, you can untrain it. Start by identifying one digital trigger that always derails you. Is it YouTube Shorts, WhatsApp, that one app you just check and lose an hour to? Name it, then rewire it. Because the truth is, no dream survives divided attention. And learning English, it demands presence. If you can't sit still for 15 minutes with a book, how will you sit still in a job interview in English or speak clearly during a presentation? You can't. But the good news, you're not broken. Your brain just needs to be led again. Not by technology, but by you. And maybe you're thinking, but I don't have time. That's not true. You do have time. It's just leaking through digital cracks. What if right now you deleted one useless app? Not forever, just for 1 week. And in its place, you downloaded an English podcast or a reading app like Linku or Audible. You'd be shocked at how quickly things shift when you do. Because the difference between the future you want and the life you're living is what you do with your attention. Keep giving it away and you'll stay stuck. Reclaim it and everything changes. Language, confidence, freedom. Focus is the bridge. And your phone is either the architect or the arsonist. And if you still think this is about quitting technology, it's not. It's about learning to choose. You can't control the digital world, but you can control your door to it. And when you start choosing your digital diet the way you choose your food, everything sharpens. You become clearer, braver, smarter. And that's when something unexpected begins. He wasn't lazy. He wasn't unmotivated. He wanted to speak English so badly it hurt, especially when he saw job offers he couldn't apply for. But every night, his thumb found its way back to the screen, scrolling through strangers' lives, chasing little laughs, escaping silence. He didn't realize it, but he knew more about influencers than his own goals. One night, around midnight, something broke. He looked at the time and realized he hadn't studied. Again. That day, gone again. He sat on the edge of his bed and whispered, "What's happening to me?" That question wasn't casual. It cracked something open. It was the first time awareness spoke louder than habit. The next morning he did something radical. He turned off his phone. Not silent, not airplane mode. Off, completely, for 48 hours. At first he laughed. "I'll be fine." But by hour 3, the panic came. He kept reaching for something that wasn't there. His hand moved automatically. That scared him more than he expected. By hour 10, he met a strange new enemy, boredom, the real kind. No music, no videos, no escape, just himself. That was the first time he picked up an old English storybook he had forgotten about. It felt weird at first, but page by page, the quiet became calming. English didn't feel like homework anymore. It felt like a breath. By the end of day 2, something strange had happened. He didn't miss the noise. He missed himself, the version of him who used to dream, who believed in becoming fluent, who wanted to speak English with confidence and change his future. That version wasn't dead. He was just buried under notifications. When he turned the phone back on, he didn't feel shame. He felt clarity. The phone wasn't evil, but his relationship with it had been destructive. So he created a new rule. No more random scrolling, only open with purpose. If it's not about connection, creativity, or communication, it can wait. From that day, he set one non-negotiable ritual. 1 hour each day without his phone, focused only on learning English. reading, shadowing, or writing in a journal. It didn't matter what, as long as it was intentional. Over time, that 1 hour became his sacred space, a place where self-respect returned. Now, when people ask him how he finally broke through, he says, "I didn't change everything. I just disappeared long enough to remember who I was." Because sometimes you don't need more motivation. You need a pause big enough to hear your own voice again. And that voice will lead you to something deeper. Here's the truth most people never hear. Your brain is not broken. It's overwhelmed. It was never designed for endless information, constant pings, and fast dopamine hits. When you live in digital chaos, your working memory shrinks, and language, it lives in working memory. So if English isn't sticking, don't blame your brain. Blame the noise. Think about it. You study 5 new words, then jump to TikTok. Your brain doesn't file the vocabulary. It flushes it. Why? Because memory requires silence, reflection, space. Want to fix it? Start studying English in a visually clean space. No tabs, no noise, just you, your notebook, and focus. The second problem, dopamine loops. Every time you check your phone, your brain rewards you, but this weakens your persistence. Learning English is about staying with something. One sentence, one shadowing exercise. Even when it's uncomfortable, want to rewire this. Delay phone checks by 10 minutes each day. Build discomfort tolerance like a muscle. There's also what I call the fragmentation effect. App switching trains your brain to fear long thinking, to chase quick hits. This is why reading even 1 page in English feels hard now. It's not just language, it's neural wiring. Rebuild it slowly. Read 1 long paragraph in English per day, out loud, with patience. And then there's fatigue. Not the kind that makes you yawn, but the mental exhaustion disguised as laziness. You think you're not disciplined, but really your cognitive energy is drained before English even begins. Try this. Track your energy after 1 hour without your phone, then study. You'll see the difference. It's not magic, it's chemistry. Most people try to fight their phone with willpower, but this is like trying to fight a river with your bare hands. It doesn't work. Instead, build systems. Set up your space like a temple for focus. Put your phone in another room. Light a candle. Open your book. Let your brain know this is sacred time. Learning English isn't just about repetition. It's about attention quality. If your mind is fragmented, words won't root. But if your mind is calm and engaged, even 1 sentence goes deep. Try it today. 1 sentence, spoken slowly, visualized, written. That's it. Then watch how much deeper it lives inside you. You don't need to try harder. You need to create the mental environment your brain was designed for. And once you do, you'll be amazed at how English begins to flow again. Not because you pushed harder, but because you finally stopped pushing in the wrong direction. And this shift reveals something even deeper. Did you enjoy the content and it made a difference for you? Click on Super Thanks and support our work. Here's the hardest truth to swallow. You're not afraid of failure. You're afraid of becoming someone powerful, because power demands responsibility. And when you learn English, when you grow, there's no more excuse to stay small. So the phone becomes your protector. It saves you from pressure, but it also saves you from purpose. Progress threatens identity. If you become fluent, people will expect more. You'll be expected to speak up, apply for better jobs, maybe even leave the life that feels safe. So subconsciously, your brain resists. Not because English is hard, but because changing your story feels like betrayal. To stay still feels safe, even when it's suffocating. Your phone becomes anesthesia, a soft drug that numbs ambition. You scroll, not because you're lazy, but because you're scared of the next level. One where your potential is visible, one where you actually show up. That pressure, it's real, but so is the cost of avoiding it. So here's a practice. Identify one way. Distraction has protected you emotionally. Was it protecting you from judgment, from trying and failing, from becoming visible in a world that might criticize your accent, your effort, your imperfect grammar? That's where the healing begins. Not with apps, but with honesty. Start small. Say this out loud in English. I am afraid of growing because... Then finish it. Let it sting a little. Because silence reveals what noise tries to hide. In silence, you don't just hear your thoughts, you feel them. The regret, the longing, the untapped strength. And that's why we fear silence. Not because it's empty, but because it's full of truth. So next time you study English, turn off the noise. Let it be just you, your voice, and the version of you you've been avoiding. Study in intentional silence. No music, no tabs, just one sentence at a time. Feel how uncomfortable it is. That's growth. That's identity shifting. That's what most learners never do. They escape into busy, into content, into anything but stillness. But fluency isn't born in chaos. It's born in presence. When you remove the noise, you don't just hear English better. You hear you better. The one who still dreams of speaking with confidence. The one who imagined traveling, teaching, applying, speaking, living. Not later. Now. Want to meet that version? Write them a letter. 1 page. In English. Begin with, "Dear future me, I'm not hiding anymore." Because the real detox isn't digital, it's emotional. And the moment you see your phone not as the enemy, but as a shield you no longer need, that's the moment everything shifts. And with that shift, something ancient wakes up inside you, something that's been waiting to lead the way. Imagine your mind as a room, not just any room, your private sanctuary. But instead of peace, it's filled with buzzing screens, flashing lights, and voices you never invited. That's what overstimulation does. It steals your inner space. Digital fasting isn't about being offline. It's about taking your mind back from chaos. Neuroscience has a word for it, neuroplasticity. Your brain reshapes itself based on what you give attention to. So if you feed it randomness, it learns to live in confusion. But if you feed it intention, it starts to rebuild clarity. Want to try? Before studying English, sit in stillness for 5 minutes. Let your brain reset. This is your pre-learning ritual. Silence sharpens attention. That's the part people forget. Most of the world is addicted to noise, but attention? It's now a superpower. Before you start learning, breathe. Just 30 seconds. Inhale. Exhale. Watch your thoughts like clouds. In that pause, you're reclaiming one of the rarest skills in the digital age, presence. And when presence returns, so does desire. Real desire, the kind that fuels consistency. You don't crave English because you should. You crave it because it reconnects you to your future, to your why. Visualize that self, fluent, confident, respected. Take 20 seconds today. Close your eyes. See them. Feel the pull. Then open your eyes and begin. When you remove stimulation, you remember meaning. You stop living from notification to notification and start living from intention to intention. That's sovereignty. You become the architect of your focus. And here's a tool. Create a 10-minute English-only focus sanctuary. No distractions. Just you and one task. Speaking, reading, or writing. No, it won't be easy at first. Your brain will protest. It's used to being fed every 5 seconds. But this is where your power returns, little by little, minute by minute. The longer you stay, the quieter the mind becomes. And in that quiet, English flows in deeper. Because your brain is finally ready to receive, not just survive. Think of digital fasting as a return to kingship or queendom. Your brain, once a servant to apps, becomes the ruler again. You say, "Now I choose. I choose what enters. I choose what stays. I choose what builds me." And when you study English in this state, it's no longer learning. It's remembering who you are becoming. And soon, this practice, these small, quiet hours, start building a life you can feel again. A life of focus, clarity and peace, not by deleting your phone, but by designing your relationship with it. And in doing so, you begin to notice something shift in your environment. He didn't need to quit his phone, he just needed to stop making it the center of his life. One small change shifted everything. He started keeping it in another room while studying English. Not forever, just for 30 minutes. The result? Less reaching, more reading, more thinking, more presence. That's the real power of environmental triggers. Out of sight doesn't mean out of mind, but it does break the automatic habit. Most of us reach for our phone before we even know why. So he created a new rule: no touch without intention. Every time he picked up his phone, he'd say out loud, "I'm opening this to study English." That small ritual made distraction conscious and intention visible. Then came the friction trick. He moved his English learning apps, Anki, Notion, Lingq, to the home screen. Meanwhile, all social media went into a folder called Later. Just that shift changed everything. What you see first, you do first. Your environment either pushes you forward or pulls you back. Make it push. The more he simplified access to learning, the more he showed up. And the more he complicated access to distraction, the less he craved it. That's habit design. It's not about discipline. It's about making the good things easy and the time wasters harder. Imagine, before relaxing, complete 3 simple English interactions. Just 3. That's your entry ticket to leisure. Example: say 1 English sentence describing your mood. Shadow 1 phrase from a video. Read 1 paragraph aloud. Done. These tiny actions send a message to your brain. I choose to learn before I scroll. And that message, repeated daily, becomes identity. You stop being a person who tries to study. You become the person who shows up first. And then something unexpected happens. Your confidence grows. Not because your English is perfect, but because your consistency is. Every moment you reclaim your attention, you reclaim your self-respect. And that changes how you speak, how you sit, how you look at the future. His phone didn't disappear. It just lost its power over him. It stopped being a master and became a servant again. That's how you reverse dominance. Not by deleting everything, but by choosing everything. And now, instead of being owned by his phone, he owns the context in which it's used. This is what digital freedom looks like: intentional behavior, small systems, and sacred space for learning. You don't have to fight your phone. You have to outsmart it. And when you do, something remarkable returns. Not just energy or focus, but life. And that's what he finally saw on the day everything went quiet. I remember who I am without the noise. That's what she whispered after her first real detox. No pings, no updates, just silence and a book in her hands. She read slowly, not to impress anyone, but to connect. And in that moment, English didn't feel like something outside of her. It felt like a part of her coming home. My attention is valuable again, she said the next day. For the first time, she protected it like treasure. One 20-minute English focus block, no interruptions, felt like a sacred ritual. She lit a small candle, sat at her desk, read, spoke aloud. And when the timer went off, she didn't want to stop. She wasn't chasing perfection anymore. She was building presence. Her goal wasn't fluency in 30 days. It was depth, real engagement, real retention. So she made one powerful choice. I choose meaning over distraction. Every time she reached for her phone, she paused, asked herself, is this aligned with who I want to become? And when the answer was no, she replaced that impulse. One scroll became one spoken English sentence. One like became one journal entry. One meaningless refresh became one moment of breath and reflection. These weren't punishments. They were returns, tiny doors back to herself, back to her goals. She realized something people rarely say. Digital fasting doesn't give you more time. It gives you yourself. That version of you who doesn't feel broken, who studies without shame, who speaks even if it's imperfect, who feels alive, clear, and grounded again. That version is still in you, just waiting beneath the noise. Now every day has its rhythm. Her morning begins with stillness. Her English learning is quiet but powerful. Her phone is no longer the director of her attention. It's a tool she chooses with grace. And in that clarity, something even deeper returned: trust. She trusted herself again. She didn't need a perfect accent to feel worthy. She didn't need a fancy app to feel prepared. All she needed was one clean space, one focused mind, one aligned intention. That's what digital detox gave her. Not just learning, liberation. And on that final evening, after a week of choosing differently, she sat by the window and wrote this sentence in her notebook: "This is the life I was avoiding, and now I'm living it." And that's when she knew everything she thought was outside of her was always waiting within. So now, I want to ask you something real. When was the last time you studied English without a second screen nearby? When was the last time you sat in silence, not just to learn, but to reclaim yourself? Because this isn't just about improving your English. This is about building the mind that can hold your future. One focused hour at a time. One brave choice at a time. One sentence spoken from the heart, even if it's imperfect. What version of you is waiting beneath the distractions? The one who speaks with confidence? The one who no longer hides? The one who doesn't just understand English, but understands their own power? Start there, start small. And remember, you're not doing this alone. This space, this channel, exists for people like you. If this video touched something in you, leave a comment. Tell me what part woke you up. Click like if you felt seen, and subscribe if you want more than English lessons. You want transformation through language. We're building something rare here, and your journey deserves to be part of it.